The Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is today conducting oversight visits to flood-hit districts of OR Tambo and Amathole. It comes after a month since the disaster occurred, with the executive arm of government having made numerous promises to displaced families, including relocation to new land. Newzroom Afrika's Liyema Vumisa is there and joins us now. Just talk to us about some of the work, Liyema, that they are expected to be doing, connect that to the expectations of the local community directly affected.
Certainly, Iman, when we look at, some of the work that the officials in the province, as far as Eastern Cape government is concerned, the work and really the extensive work that they've sort of embarked on, of course, includes some of those visits to the different flood victims in all of the adversely affected areas right here in the district of OR Tambo and also the Amathole district. But then in complete contrast to that, there still is a wide concern from some of those very, flood victims who continue to urge the government to try and intervene, particularly when it comes to the long-term plans, particularly relating to their relocation to new land. We understand then that now a different arm of state, which is Parliament right here in the Eastern Cape Legislature, has descended to this very same town of Mthatha, and their sole purpose is to, of course, conduct oversight visits to some of those affected areas. Now, you would understand, Iman, that just a couple of weeks ago, the executive, led by the MEC of Cooperative, had in fact also came here to this very same place. Now, the difference is that, particularly for this instance, the Parliament is going to ensure then that the executive, with the promises that you also alluded to earlier on, that they've made to some of those flood victims, are they in fact following up on such, promises? But also alongside that, to try and monitor then the budget allocation to this very same district alongside the Amathole district. As you would understand then, that the National Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs about a week or two ago, I think it must have been on the 7th of this very same month, had in fact also, released a statement including over 500 million rands that is going to be given as a relief grant then to this province of the Eastern Cape to cater to all of those flood victims. So then Parliament's role in that regard, and particularly the Eastern Cape Legislature then, is to sort of monitor precisely those budgets, allocations, and whether or not they're being followed up and used as appropriately as they're supposed to by the executive. Now, we understand the visits will also include some of those flood-stricken areas here in Mthatha, Central CBD, and other various locations, and the centers that still continue to house some of those flood victims. You'd understand then, as you've already mentioned there, Iman, in your intro, that this comes then on the backdrop of over 30 days now having passed since those floods ravaged parts of Mthatha alongside some of the towns in the Amathole district. Now, what we understand then is that since it started, the executive in the province of the Eastern Cape had made a promise that they're going to acquire land and they're going to, in fact, relocate some of those flood victims. 30 days later, the Parliament then is going to conduct oversight visits, not to new land that has since been promised by the executive, but in fact to the very same centers that were housing, some of those flood victims, which we were told at the time that they are only going to be there for a period of 30 days. Now, the question that one would ask themselves is whether or not then the executive is in fact keeping up to their promise. And I certainly, understand then that Parliament, legislature here in the province of the Eastern Cape is also going to follow up on some of those questions, because joining some of those members of Parliament here in the province will be the executive mayors of both the districts, the municipality here in King Sabata Talingebo, and also the executive mayor of OR Tambo District Municipality, alongside some of the Eastern Cape provincial government officials and local government officials. Now, the concern that still continues, to plague most of those flood victims is the relocation of the new land. We've since been told that land was acquired, but whether or not construction has indeed commenced, that still remains to be known.